together to take to the streets.
These parents are preparing for a midnight street patrol, led by one of MADDADS founders, Eddie Staten.
This is an area that's really plagued by drugs now.
They confront drug dealers when they have to. They offer concrete help where they can.
I'm gonna give you my card, and I'm serious. You give me a call, you got to find a job.
This solution began 7 years ago here in Omaha, and the idea was renewed last year at the Million Man March. Now there are 1,000 MADDADS in this city alone, headquarters for a movement that spread far beyond Nebraska. There are 45 MADDAD chapters in 13 states and soon in 2 other countries. All of the chapters are based on the same idea. Men who are willing to go out on the street to show young people that they care about them, but who won't let them destroy the community. This chapter relies on private donations for a neighborhood drill team that gives 75 kids an alternative to the street, for a gun buyback program organized with local police. They've removed almost 3,000 weapons from the neighborhood.
I describe MADDADS as hardworking people out in the community trying to do something positive. That's a great thing, because some of these kids ain't got no fathers and stuff.
Is it important that it's men who are out there?
It's very important because men have been absent for too long. Because too many of us men have been guilty of leaving the nurturing, loving, caring, raising of our children to mothers or the streets.
One solution, teach responsible fatherhood. Some of these young men are already fathers themselves.
You have got to let your kids know, not just today, but it's got to be a consistent thing. They've got to know that you love them, not based on what you say, but what you do, and the example you set before them.
Examples they say they've missed.
Y'all know my daddy, so, you know, what kind of role model did I have? You know what I mean?
I never had a role model.
Everybody in my family was gangbanging.
So Staten talks to them like he is their father.
We're taking the time to do all this. That's how important you are. And if nobody ever told you that, I'm telling you right now, you are important to us.
After this late-night meeting, 2 young men called the next day for help with a job and a training program.
We create a sense of hope in the community that not all is lost, that there are some people out here who really do care, and reach out to some of these young people when possible.
A solution for young men at greatest risk by showing them what it means to be a good father.
All right, my brothers, y'all take care of yourselves out here.
Deborah Amos, ABC News, Omaha, Nebraska.
However, as with so many experiments, is this enough to be a real solution by itself? On this anniversary of the Million Man March, we talked to one of the leading thinkers at Harvard University's African American Studies Department, Cornel West. Some people look at it and say it's do-goodism and it's a sort of soft solution. Is the soft solution what's really needed in many cases?
You need both soft and hard. I think it's important not to devalue the very heroic energies of fellow human beings and fellow citizens. At the same time, we have to be very clear and speak very honestly and acknowledge that without major reinvestment in our inner cities, we remain in very deep crises.
Would it be a mistake to look at MADDADS and other groups like it as solutions unto themselves?
Yes, it would be a major mistake. In fact, it would be, I think, a way of displacing our collective responsibility and putting it on individual responsibility. We must have both individual responsibility as well as collective accountability and responsibility.
Many thanks.
Thank you so very much.
Violent crime in this country is on the rise again, and today Attorney General Alberto Gonzales says he's sending out investigators to find out why. According to the FBI, violent crime was up 2.3% in 2005. That's the first increase in 4 years. But by far, the biggest increase came in mid-sized cities, with violent crime up 4 times the national average. What's going on? National correspondent Byron Pitts went to Minneapolis to find out for tonight's Eye on Crime, The Crisis.
Minneapolis, Minnesota, the twins, the mall, and a murder rate that's simply through the roof.
Pretty much just try to swim and keep her head above water.
Officer Rich Jackson is a member of the Minneapolis Police Department.
What time did you come to work today?
I started at 10 o'clock this morning.
10 o'clock this morning. What time is it right now?
It's 2:49.
In the morning?
In the morning.
Police forces across the country are stretched thin, particularly in mid-sized cities like Minneapolis, St. Louis, and Cleveland. Last year, the murder rate increased by nearly 9%, while the rate for bigger cities like New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago increased less than 1%. How do you explain it, the violence in Minneapolis?
A lot of the violence that I'm noticing is from our youth.
Minneapolis has tried to fix the problem using the zero-tolerance approach.
The big guy there is a heroin dealer.
That's cut crime in New York, arresting kids for small offenses before they commit a major crime. But like so many cities its size, resources are strained. One burden? Dollars diverted to Homeland Security. An added burden, the war in Iraq.
We have probably 30 to 40 officers that are serving in Iraq right now.
Right now?
Right now. And
have they been replaced with anybody?
No.
Since 2004, the feds have cut funding for state and local police departments by nearly 50%. So with fewer police officers, more at-risk kids and more gangs go unwatched.
Well, come on down and pull it together, all right?
VJ Smith, a former gangbanger and addict,
I'm proud of you, man, all right?
runs MADDADS, a local group trying to reach troubled kids.
Hey, young man, how you doing?
He says when families migrated to Minneapolis from many of America's big cities, they brought more than their dreams.
People have moved here to get away from crime. They came to Minneapolis.
What they brought with them was some baggage. And the baggage had guns. And the baggage had drugs. And the baggage had issues.
This new spike in violence is also part of an old problem.
How about your dad? Is he around there?
The aftermath of the crack epidemic of the 80s and 90s, which sent fathers and mothers to prison.
And so those bitter kids are now the gang members that we see today.
It's a work in progress in mid-sized cities across America, where the spirit is willing, but the resources are in short supply. Byron Pitts, CBS News, Minneapolis.